I think we can start. Thanks, everybody. We apologize that we unfortunately were unable to control the weather, and we had a little bit of a makeover because we had to change the venue, and we moved to this halls. I hope everybody feels comfortable. If in Montenegro we say if the children are not mad, they will find a way how to operate and how to get along. So I hope that we can get along well today, despite the fact that the venue is a little tighter and smaller than we expected previously. But I just wanted to wish everybody a warm welcome to Montenegro and to Kotor Bay. Hopefully you will have time to look around after the official duties are done. Dear Excellencies, Commissioner Varheli, Assistant Secretary O'Brien, it is a special honor to open today's Regional Leaders Summit meeting of Western Balkan 6, One Region, Common Vision, organized in collaboration with our EU partners. First, I wish to welcome you to Montenegro and Bay of Kotor. We are reconvening after successful conferences in Skopje and Tirana, and thank you very much for those, and a productive ministerial meeting in Podgorica. Today, as leaders and partners, we gather once again to enhance our policy-making processes, foster synergies, and ultimately accelerate our integration into the EU. Within that context, we'll put a keen focus on the future of the common regional market and the integration within the European single market. The growth plan for the Western Balkans, first and foremost, in our view, represents a clear signal and commitment to of the European Union to the economic and democratic transformation of the Western Balkans. Especially for the businesses, the growth plan presents an opportunity and presents a clear signaling effect that the region will be part of the bigger market. Oftentimes I say that Montenegro is a 500,000 market, but as a part of the single market, it's a part of the 500 million market. Montenegrin government is strongly dedicated to enhancing the economic prosperity and quality of life for our citizens. With this principle guiding our every action, we have high expectations for the growth plan. Recognizing the current stage and challenges in economic development, Montenegro's reform agenda is prepared with a clear goal: to leverage the incentives provided by the EU Reform and Growth Facility for the Western Balkans. This entails the implementation of crucial reforms measures in strategic areas aimed at accelerating economic growth and ensuring alignment with the EU standards. To achieve this ambitious objective, we have identified and formulated reform measures addressing business environment and private sector development, digital and energy green transition, and human capital development. Additionally, reforms concerning fundamentals, including rule of law, and crucial and firmly integrated into the reform agenda. In the context of challenging economic environment, let me also emphasize the importance of continuous EU assistance in terms of infrastructure development, a commitment that should persist and expand under Reform and Growth Facility for the Western Balkans. Montenegro is committed to accelerating the development of key infrastructure, particularly transport and energy, in the short to medium term, to stipulate positive effects on the growth rate. We have an ambitious plan of Montenegro 2030 infrastructure. The government has decided on a list of priority infrastructure projects eligible for financing under the growth plan, within the foremost priority being the 44 infrastructure projects proposed in the field of education across all levels. This decision reflects a sense of responsibility and our dedication to improving conditions within the educational system, recognizing that investing in the future of young people is the most valuable investment. Montenegrin government has high expectations for the successful implementation of the growth plan. However, we also recognize that certain aspects of this joint EU-Western Balkans undertaking require further clarification. Despite some uncertainties, It's crucial that they do not impede our collective efforts to prepare, adopt, and implement all elements of the growth plan in the region. Today, we will discuss several priority initiatives proposed by the EU aimed at integrating the Western Balkans into the EU single market. In this context, advancing the common regional market remains a crucial engine towards the opening of new horizons that will bring the region closer to European standards. Longly awaited access to the single euro payments area, SEPA, is a significant step forward and lowest hanging fruit that can demonstrate the efficiency of early integration measures already introduced by the revised enlargement methodology. We express our gratitude for the support and guidance offered by the European Commission, and we are committed to becoming a member by year end. Following our SEPA pre-application submission, we have taken further steps to engage with central bank governors of WB6, offering support for the SEPA membership preparations. We firmly believe SEPA membership will not only benefit Montenegro's citizens and economy, but will also contribute to broader EU goals of economic integration and cross-border transactions in the region. We welcome the Regional Roadmap for Green Lanes initiative and emphasize the importance of improved customs and tax collaboration for integration into the EU single market. Streamlining customs procedures and establishing green lanes between the Western Balkans and the EU will facilitate economic activity. We are committed to implementing our obligations swiftly to reduce border crossing times and boost economic efficiency. Moreover, the growth plan stipulates agreements on conformity assessment to unlock the single market for goods manufactured in the Western Balkans. This gives significant impetus to our economic development and fosters greater participation of our businesses in European value chains. Currently, our products certified in the Western Balkans should be recertified there when exported to this EU market. This is time-consuming, expensive, and a huge barrier to trade. Limiting our exports, but establishing the Single Market Academy to support this substantial move is of great relevance. I trust that today's meeting will bring us closer to realizing these benefits. In addition, we must not overlook that the main focus of this plan is people. Investing in human capital is perhaps the most important aspect of the reform agendas with long-term and sustainable impact. This is why today we also discuss some practical ways in which the growth plan can make our everyday lives easier. Practical tools like digital wallet, critical medical alliance will help us understand broader the context of what we can offer to our citizens in addition to economic empowerment. I urge all of us to seize this opportunity and collaborate towards our common objective. Let's pave the way for improved trade facilitation, regional integration, economic prosperity for both the Western Balkans and the EU member states. Our ambitious plans call us to remain committed for the completion of the ongoing action plan for common regional market that ends in 2024. We are all aware that without clear strategic guidelines, our ambitions will be hardly attainable. This is why I hope that today's summit, we will generally agree upon the priorities for the upcoming action plan, which will embrace the enthusiasm already seen in preparation of the reform agendas of the new growth plan. In conclusion, let me reiterate the importance of the historic opportunity presenting itself to the Western Balkan region and its citizens. We have a chance for an irreversible path to prosperity and stability. European Union will be stronger with more members, and we are reassured by the fact that it is showing the readiness to prepare itself for enlargement. On our part, each of us has the responsibility to commit fully to this shared vision of a better future for Europe and for our region. I truly consider the growth plan as a new crucial part of a greater vision of an integrated and consolidated union, strong and ready to face serious challenges in today's geopolitical landscape. Western Balkans must prove to be up to the task. Montenegro is dedicated to it. being close to its strategic goal, along with its membership to NATO, to join the European Union and ensure the safe future for this and next generations of its citizens. Thank you for your attention. Now, we kindly ask the chairwoman, Kristo, to take the floor. Thank you.
Hvala lijepa. Poštovani premijeru, gospodine Spajiću, poštovani predsjedniče Republike Srbije, poštovani i uvaženi premijeri zemalja regije, na poseban način dozvolite da pozdravim i povjerenika za susjedstvo i proširenje, gospodina Olivera Varhelija, kao i pomoćnika državnog tajnika za evropske i euroazijske poslove Sjedinjenih Američkih Država, gospodina O'Briena, sve vas, poštovane dame i gospodo, predstavnike svih organizacija koji sudjelujete danas na ovom velikom događaju s nama, Samitu o Zapadnom Balkanu. Od našeg posljednjeg susreta, u koji je bio u veljači u Tirani, Bosna i Hercegovina je odlukom Evropskog vijeća napravila i otvorila jedno novo poglavlje kad je u pitanju proces integriranja u Evropsku uniju. Tom odlukom zapravo institucije Evropske unije su prepoznali naš rad i rezultate u proteklih 15 mjeseci, na čemu se i ovo prigodom iskreno zahvaljujem i ovdje nazočnom povjereniku za susjedstvo proširenje gospodinu Varheliju, naravno i svim predstavnicima europskih institucija. Ta zapravo podrška i priznanje su od velike važnosti za sve nas i za nastavak našeg rada. Prije svega za daljni napredak u provođenju preostalih reformi, pa na poseban način kada je u pitanju i provedba EU plana rasta za zemlje Zapadnog Balkana, odnosno i za nas u Bosni i Hercegovini. Kada govorimo o temi ovog panela, a to je trenutno stanje i budući planovi koji su vezani za plan rasta, mogu kazati da je Bosna i Hercegovina 30. travnja službeno poslala prema Evropskoj komisiji listu reformi sa kvantitativnim i kvalitativnim koracima za provedbu plana rasta za zemlje Zapadnog Balkana. Do zadnjeg trenutka mogu kazati da smo aktivno radili na usuglašavanju sa predstavnicima Evropske komisije i EU izaslanstva u Bosni i Hercegovini i mogu kazati da smo od 113 reformi usuglasili, koje su bile inicijalni prijedlog Evropske unije, usuglasili 110 reformi, odnosno izraženo u postotku negdje oko 97%. Istaknut ću kako smo također uspješno ispoštovali sve pred nas postavljene rokove, unatoč tome da je naše ustavno-pravno ustrojstvo takvo da su nadležnosti u ekonomskim politikama široko decentralizirane i upravo zbog toga nam je često potrebno i puno više vremena možda nego nekim drugim zemljama da prije svega unutar sebe usuglasimo neki finalni prijedlog. U Bosni i Hercegovini u ovom trenutku radimo na promociji novog plana rasta na način da doista ukazujemo na važnost implementacije istoga kroz provedbu reformi, a koje se tiču vladavine prava, boljeg funkcioniranja institucija, osnaživanja poslovne klime i zadržavanja ljudskog kapitala u Bosni i Hercegovini, što sve zajedno zapravo dovodi do snažnijeg rasta ekonomije koji je potreban prije svega nama u BiH. Reforme su također istodobno usmjerene i na stvaranje uvjeta za osiguranje održive, odnosno zelene energije, na digitalnu tranziciju, bolju IT infrastrukturu, uključujući i unapređenje cyber sigurnosti. U vremenu koje je ispred nas, dok finaliziramo taj narativni dio reformi kao i modus raspodjele sredstava, ja vam mogu reći da ću učiniti sve da i u budućnosti zadržimo našu odlučnost, te da kroz suradnju, naš zajednički rad i međusobno povjerenje konsenzusom dođemo do zajedničkog cilja. Vjerujem također kako ćemo uz sve izazove koje trenutno imamo u Bosni i Hercegovini, da je ovo najbolji način da iskažemo našu odlučnost i predanost evropskom putu za koji u Bosni i Hercegovini postoji puni konsenzus i zapravo predstavlja glavni vanjsko-politički cilj svih konstitutivnih naroda i građana koji žive u Bosni i Hercegovini. Nadam se da ćemo svi zajedno u okviru i kroz ove panele u kontekstu naše regionalne suradnje uspjeti i ostvariti svoje zajedničke ciljeve. Hvala vam.
In Bosnia and Herzegovina in September. So let me invite the Prime Minister Albin Kurti to make his contribution.
Dear Prime Minister Milojko Spajic, dear Director General for Neighborhood and Enlargement Negotiations, Mr. Kopman, dear Mr. Varhelyi and Mr. O'Brien, colleagues from the region, thank you for convening this meeting to continue the discussion on the EU growth plan. We have entered the third year since Russia's brutal war of aggression against Ukraine. This war has brought devastation upon Ukraine, heightened threats and insecurity across Europe, and emboldened autocratic regimes that pose a direct challenge to democracy and the fundamental values of the European Union. This week, IRI's survey unveiled encouraging progress in democracy and human rights in my country, Republic of Kosovo, coupled with a steadfast trust in pro-European and Western orientation among our citizens. In an era marked by rampant disinformation and the rise of autocratic forces, Kosovo's resilience and unwavering commitment to democratic values serve as a beacon of hope. It underscores the enduring belief of our citizens in the principles upheld by the European Union. As we gather here to discuss our path towards EU membership, Kosovo's progress must be acknowledged. What is imperative is a race to the top, an approach that links EU funding to adherence to the EU values. This is the most effective strategy to foster leadership in the Western Balkans aligned with such objectives. If the European Union unequivocally supports countries making genuine strides in democracy and political pluralism, human rights and the rule of law, then it will be citizens themselves that will drive change by replacing obstructive political elites wherever they are, whenever they occur. So, if there's one message I wish to convey to the EU from Kotor, it is this: check the progress regarding democratic progress and EU reforms in the region, and then base policies on those data. Now, let me address the progress made with the Growth Plan reform agenda. For Kosovo, the EU Growth Plan represents an opportunity to further our integration into the single market and EU mechanisms while expediting reforms related to democratization, the rule of law, and fundamental rights. The accomplishment of the reform agenda, comprising of 5 policy areas with 32 reforms across 17 sectors, is nearly complete. We applaud the adoption of the Reform and Growth Plan by the European Parliament and the Council of EU. This marks a new chapter, one that must be guided by meritocracy and values. We also welcome the work on the new Common Regional Market Action Plan for 2025-2028, and the ambition to adopt it in this year's Berlin Process Summit. This must be an ambitious plan which integrates our region and connects it with the EU internal market. Furthermore, we support the RCC's suggestion to incorporate an additional block on economic security into the new action plan for the common regional market. Given that the common regional market works based on EU rules and standards, aligning it with the EU's economic security policy is both logical and advantageous, enhancing our region's appeal to European Union companies. Good neighborly relations in our region with mutual de facto and de jure recognitions are necessary for peace, security, and integration. Fast green lanes make sense without little green men. That's why I ask from Serbia to handle Milan Radojcic to Kosovo and also his paramilitary group who killed our Sergeant Afrim Bunjaku on 24th of September last year. Finally, to enhance financial integrity and strengthen cooperation in combating financial crime, our region would benefit from being part of the new anti-money laundering authority of the European Union. Regarding CEFTA, we must ensure equal representation and equal treatment of all Western Balkan 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Kurti. Now I invite Prime Minister Rama to take the floor. Please.
Thank you, and let me first and foremost express my firm disappointment for Montenegro offering us German rain instead of its own legendary sun. I don't know what happened, but I hope that this will be taken into account as an unfair play of Montenegro towards all of us. And I'm sure this may please the Germans, but it doesn't, and it should not be like that. Anyhow, coming in the legendary Kotor Bay, it's anyhow a big pleasure, and I would like to start by expressing, beyond the disappointment, the very heartfelt enthusiasm for what's going on, and I want to thank Commissioner Varhelyi and the Commission for working with us so closely and for giving us a platform of true friendly dialogue, a process in which we have, as usual, listened, but also the Commission, as unusual, listened. And this is now an incredible example of what the result can be when both sides talk to each other and listen to each other. And the progress we have done, all of us, separately and together, in the past 2.5 months since our meeting to launch this process in Skopje, speaks by itself. So we have prepared the individual reform plans. We have identified the key initiatives which would bring us gradually closer to the single market, and finally we started the preparation of the common regional market. In short, we are ready to go. And I wish to touch several points. First, we need to build on the opportunity of the growth plan to prepare ourselves for accession into the single market, which is pillar one of the growth plan. And it is time that the region becomes part of the European digital wallet. Individually, we have included this objective in our reform plan, and we intend to be ready by 2027. We expect the Commission to finalize the roadmap so that we can have a clear pathway ahead in this direction, built on, of course, European practices and regulations. In the health area, and as far as the integration of the region into the critical medical alliance is concerned, I would suggest that we move steadily towards a health union in Europe. The pandemics showed how vital this is, and yet how limited cooperation is in the health sector. I would also commend the work of the transport community and CEFTA in preparation of the roadmap and trade and transport facilitation between the Western Balkans and the bordering EU member states. It is only 10 crossing points where over 80% of freight and trade with the EU passes through. The modernization of these crossing points will not benefit just the region, but also the EU as the region's main trading partner. This roadmap will provide the basis for the implementation of the Trade and Transport Facilitation Project 2.0 for the entire region, thus making the green lanes with the EU member states a reality. In the same spirit, stronger cooperation is needed in the area of migration, human trafficking, etc., not only between us in the region, but also between the region and the EU. And it's timely and in line with the EU's comprehensive concept of security. Second, we need to extend the logic of the phasing into the single market into a number of European areas, which as part of outside the single market, strictly speaking, are strategic policy areas to both us and the EU. So it is our aim to deepen cooperation on all trade and customs related areas with the EU, preparing gradually for a full-fledged customs union with the EU in the near future. And for all of those in the region and among the EU neighboring states that are hesitant and refer to lack of compatibility of our systems, regulations and so on, and even the need of treaty changes, I just have a reminder. Turkey has a customs unions with the EU since 1995. So if there is a will, we'll jointly find the solutions for all changes, legal or administrative. But we need not wait till all reforms in the EU are completed, and this is something very important. Instead, we must pave the way now for the region's gradual accession into the European Economic Area, the European Research and Higher Education Area, the cohesion instruments of the Union, and so on. So we must make our participation in the common foreign and security policy more prominent. We need to be part of all the instruments related to early warning, prevention, and management of cybersecurity threats, misinformation, and so on. At the same time, we need to transfer know-how about the single market, as there is very little knowledge about this ever-evolving area in the Western Balkans. It is for this reason, and in line with our national and regional focus on strengthening human capital, with a particular emphasis on research and education, that we have already hinted the proposal to establish a regional single market academy. Given the special expertise and authority of the College of Europe on European Studies, I would see very fit and not difficult to have this academy, digital or physical, lodged at the College of Europe in the Tirana campus. This would serve the purpose of making much easier and much more comprehensive the know-how transfer. Thirdly, we will continue to deepen regional cooperation, and we are very committed to it. As everyone knows, for Albania is not the past that should control the future, but is the future that should control the past. Since December 2021, the implementation of trade measures in the context of common regional markets has been blocked because of a deadlock in CEFTA decision-making bodies. So hopefully the work done so far by the Commission and, as I understand, our green German partners on unblocking CEFTA and support solutions that are creative, practical, whatever, fast, in the same spirit and following the example of representation of all 6 Western Balkan countries in all-together organizations, might and should happen, because it's against the spirit of all this. What are we doing here? No. On one hand, we talk about so great things, and we want to be seen and approved like member state, European member states in terms of behavior, and we continue to block ourselves. This doesn't make sense. This does make sense, and as I said since day one, we should leave the politics and the bilateral issues and whatever among us out of this space. Because anyhow, if we do everything in the European style and the European way within this space, this will ease and appease also the atmosphere for everyone to deal with bilateral issues. And few more words ahead of the Sarajevo meeting. I believe that until that meeting, our ministers of EU integration and Minister of Finance should continue to work on the ongoing initiatives which aim to integrate us into the single market. All this SEPA, green lanes, critical raw material alliance, conformity assessment agreements, and so on need work and need daily work of all our people. And I ask the Commission to help us in preparing very clear and concrete roadmaps to prepare us integrate fully in these areas until 2027. Secondly, in the same way, I propose that ministers of EU integration and Minister of Economy and Finance meet periodically to discuss Pillars 3 and 4 of the growth plan. Now we launch periodic meetings among ministers of interiors and gimmick-style meetings of ministers of foreign affairs, ministers of education and innovation, as well as ministers for energy, agriculture, and environment. So these meetings should be structured between the EU and the region and not just among us. And all these meetings should have the aim to push from all corners towards this strategic goal that has brought us here together. And it would be great if in the next Sarajevo meeting we have a comprehensive draft of the Common Regional Market 2.0, which is to be coordinated by RCC, CEFTA, other regional organizations, and our Sherpas, of course. And last but not least, we need to set in motion a political dialogue with the Commission, the EU member states, on acquiring a new status for partners who are negotiating. The countries that are negotiating should have space in the political Europe to be included as observers in all the mechanisms of political and technical level of the Union. So this would be also a way to accompany what we are trying to accelerate in economic terms, also in political terms. And because I'm seeing here with pleasure the representatives of the European Investment Bank, I want to insist on my obsession. It's key for us to be helped, all of us, with a new instrument that will ease our need to get more loans by being supported with EU guarantees. This is doable, and this will change completely the panorama because, yes, it's very important that we'll get also some finance, and it's not small for us, at least, because it's important money. But at the same time, we should not fool each other and either ourselves. In the economic investment plan framework, we have 90% loans and only 10% grants. So it's the upside down world vis-à-vis the European member states, which have 90% grants and only 10% loans. Okay, we understand and we are not questioning it, but it would be fantastic if, with the help of European Investment Bank, we will push and convince EU to guarantee for our loans. This would change everything. And let me be very frank with you. At the end, as we were told when we were kids, depending economically from you was practically losing our freedom to get rid of you. So guarantee our loans, and you have us for the rest of our lives, because we can't escape. You'll go after us asking for the money, and we have to stay with you. It's a good way to make sure that in the next generation of Europe, when I hope not, but many of you would like to leave, we, the Balkan people, will remain loyal to the European Union, and maybe will become the center of the next generation of the European Union. And we'll have just some troubles to decide where our Brussels will be, but the rest will be fine. So thank you, dear Mickey, and next time, make sure that Montenegro is sunny and not like this, because we are not in Berlin here, God's sake.
So if you are trying to avoid Balkan Brussels, then I guess today's meeting was not really supportive to the Montenegro's candidacy to become, or it is
but
because
stop
of the weather.
With finally entering this EU, because since I met Montenegrins, they were saying to me, no, we are not like Balkans, we are entering EU next year. Enter in this EU, for God's sake. Don't continue to say this. You don't continue to behave like you are entering and you are still with us.
I have to disappoint you. We already entered the EU, so now we are on behalf of EU. We are making further strides. Thank you, Prime Minister Rama. Now we have President Vučić to give a short or long. Thank you so much.
Typically, it's always promised to be short, but it gets longer than everyone.
Thank you. We'll measure it easily, whether it was long or short. Thank you very much for your hospitality here in Montenegro, and would like to say a few words apart from this bureaucratic data that we all exposed here or about to expose it. Thank you, Commissioner Varhelyi. Thank you, Mr. Kopman. Thank you, Jim. Thank you all for being with us today. And he is really counting my time. Well, we are very enthusiastic about this plan. It has been the case from the very first moment. And I'm not in the habit of flattering anyone in the world, particularly not anyone in Brussels. But I have to say that this kind of changed approach, as a matter of fact, created an opportunity for us in the Balkans. And thank you for doing this. Even many of us, and that's why I cannot say anything about our people, because it's obvious that they don't understand what we speak about here. And most of the journalists, they don't get it, what we speak about here, which is actually quite regular and quite understandable. And this is because we don't discuss big political issues, we discuss ordinary people lives issues, living standard issues, something that will develop our economies. That's why we are very much on board on this. And I believe that we have had so far good discussions, and we have agreed upon most of the things. I think that we have one or two outstanding issues, not more than that, as Serbia, there were some decisions that were not easy for us regarding public procurement, state aid issue, even visas issues, and but now it's just that unbundling of some SOEs, the issue that we'll have to take care of, and we'll do it. And I hope that having in mind this question that you'll be able to accept just our small request on that, which is very close to your demands that were exposed to us. What I wanted to say, just for all the people, taking care of single European payment area, taking care of green lanes, taking care of taking care of its ACAA, which is, it's the language that, you know, what does this mean, ACAA? I'll tell you, it's Agreement on Conformity Assessment and Acceptance of Industrial Products. But that's what we need, because I'll tell you what is that all about. It sounds stupid, but it's very useful. If we'll have to, let's say, export our washing machines or vacuum cleaners or whatever, they won't scrutinize it every single time, whether it was done with all necessary certifications or not. It will make it much easier, and it will help developing us our economies. And we have several of those factories, of those plants in Serbia that would like to see the benefits from this kind of agreements. And it's covering 10% of overall Serbian export to European Union, which is not to be underestimated at all. And then we go furthermore with the other type of products, which would be of an utmost importance for us. This is really something that will bring good results to the region, and I'm not speaking about the money, because we do appreciate that, because it's made by your taxpayers, but and that's why we always say that we are very much grateful. And but this is really not to that extent significant amount of money, although there is nothing to be undermined or underestimated. The more important is the structural reforms that we'll have to adjust with and to adopt as a part of our system, and this is what we appreciate very much. It would be very easy for me to respond in a political way to some people here that cannot say anything about economy, and they have never said anything about their economies, but they're always ready to give political lectures to everybody, not only to me, but it would be pretty much senseless, would look like them, and will do my best to avoid it. Once again, many thanks, and I believe, Eddie, that I was much shorter than you, although you were not measuring your time, but my people did it, just don't worry about it. And hope that we'll have a good meeting with the very best conclusions next time when we meet each other in Sarajevo. And just one thing for the public here, because Eddie launched that topic, whether we're going to be a part of European Union or not. I know that we are not going to be a part of Europe, none of us, before Ukraine enter European Union. Whether we'll be able to enter European Union together with Ukraine or not, that's another issue. And you can say whatever you want. I'm telling you, my intelligence is telling me that I'm right. And it's not about my intelligence, it's about something that is happening, which means that we'll have to wait for six more years, which is also okay, but because, you know, you are somewhere very popular in my country. European Union is not that popular, like we are not that popular, although we are the biggest part of this region. Anyway, this is something that will bring us closer to European Union, and that's why I'm not going not only to deny the importance of this kind of initiatives, but I'm commending it and saying once again many thanks to all of you and for supporting us and for being so helpful. Thank you very much.
So there were two speeches.
Thank you very much, President Vučić. We fully agree. I think one very important thing that President has just mentioned is that structural reforms that we undertake as a part of the growth plan are the key signal to the businesses that the uncertainty of the region joining single market is less and less. And that will change the investment atmosphere in the region. And we really hope that the perception that this market is alone, that is a small market, that is a poor market, will be soon gone. Thank you very much. Now we have Prime Minister Jaferi. Please.
Почитуван премиер Спајич, почитувани колеги премиери, почитани комесар Вархеи, помошник државни секретар Обрајан, генерален директор Копман, високи представници на партнерските институции и пријатели на регионот. Ми представува задоволство што сум повторно дел од овој круг пријатели кои разговараат за конкретни прашања во интерес на регионот и европската перспектива на нашите земји. Одговорноста е дотолку поголема со оглед на неизвестноста пред која е исправена мојата земја по неодамнешните претседателски и парламентарни избори. Денес сакам пред вас уште еднаш да нагласам дека владата која ја предводам останува посветена на остварувањето на европската агенда, која бара спроведување на суштински реформи и усогласување со правото и стандардите на Европската унија. Дополнително, го поздравувам усвојувањето на регулативата за меhanizмот за реформи и раст, со која се обезбедени дополнителни финансиски средства за поддршка на реформите, а чие користење е поврзано со испорачување резултати. Изминатиот период и покрај фактот што Северна Македонија беше во изборен период, интензивно работевме на финализирање на нашата реформска агенда 2024-2027. Последната нацрт верзија на реформската агенда, одобрена од владата, беше споделена со Европската комисија на почетокот на мај. Воедно, сакам да потенцирам уште два важни моменти, кои исто така се случија после состанокот во Тирана. Првиот беше на крајот на април, кога Северна Македонија ја поднесе својата предапликација за членство во СЕПА. И вториот, кој е во однос на иницијативата за европски центри за дигитални иновации. Односно, во месец март објавивме јавен повик на кој аплицираа повеќе центри за дигитални иновации. Ова се мали, но значајни чекори кои ја потврдуваат насоката на движење на земјава. Со ист таков ентузијазм и посветеност очекувам да се спроведат најновите патокази кои се однесуваат на забрзаното приближување кон заедничкиот внатрешен пазар, но и спроведувањето на реформската агенда. И последно, но не помалку важно, во однос на регионалната соработка ги поддржуваме начелно поставените темели во новиот акцијски план за заедничкиот регионален пазар. Имајќи предвид дека сме во период пред избор на нова влада, деталните активности за кои се надлежни ресорните институции допрва треба да бидат етаблирани и развиени во периодот што следи. Овде, исто така сакам да го потенцирам фактот дека за да успее новиот акцијски план за заеднички регионален пазар, на кој напорно работат сите, треба да се одблокира работењето на ЦЕФТА и сметам дека дојде ред Северна Македонија да има свој представник на највисоко ниво. Се надевам дека ова трасирана патека ќе продолжи да биде водилка и за следната влада на Република Северна Македонија. Ви благодарам на вниманието.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jaferi. That was very efficient. And now we have Mr. Varheli, Commissioner. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Dear President, dear Prime Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, after only 2 months, we're here again. to make not only a strong political commitment to our shared agenda, but to register, first of all, that the growth plan is no longer a draft. It is a reality that we already have started implementing. It seems that the region not only feels this new geopolitical momentum, but also understands and starts to deliver on it. The sense of urgency, I think, is very high, and so is the motivation to deliver everything that we have decided together on the ground to bring the Western Balkans also in real terms, as fast as we can, up to the level of convergence with the European Union. Because the plan offers a very serious offer for the entire region. This is why I'm very happy to hear that the Balkans, for once, is optimistic. Of course, with the usual tones and rhythm, but the undertone is an optimistic one, not something that you hear many, many times. And I think that it is clear that the offer the EU has put on the table should lead us to a next institutional cycle where actual enlargement will take place. So the next European Commission should be an enlargement commission that will see at the end of its mandate new members entering. And I'm quite sure that with everything we have done together under this mandate, lastly with the growth plan, the Western Balkan will be part of that enlargement. Because if you look at what we have put on the table together, the new methodology, the economic and investment plan, the growth plan, what you see is, I hope, an irreversible set of tools that leads us to enlargement. Just to give you one element, with all the tools we have in place, by 2027, the Western Balkans will be receiving the same or comparable level of aid intensity as our current cohesion and structural fund beneficiary member states. That means that they will reach 90%, 90 percentage points of aid intensity of the 13 cohesion and structural funds countries by the end of this multi-annual financial period, which runs out at 2027. So there will be no excuse, if I may use a bit Balkan terminology, as I'm also from here, there will be no more excuse for the Western Balkans not to be ready by 2027 to join the European Union. Of course, for this to happen, we need also to work on the ground, because this is the grand design I explained, but the grand design doesn't work if it is not implemented down to the wire and on the ground fully. Because what we are proposing with the plan is not only a plan to integrate the Western Balkans into the European Union, but also this region to integrate within itself. Because we not only want to bring closer and into the European Union each and every partner at the Western Balkans, but also we want you to use the opportunity that your common EU membership will provide even before you join the European Union. And I think this is not only a political idea, but I think it is also a business and economic reality that everyone has on its mind. Because the offer we make means that you can also integrate yourselves into the European markets one by one, sector by sector, where you are prepared and where you are ready to apply the same rules. The first one is going to be the SEPA, mentioned by many of you. 3 of you have already made applications. I hope to see all of you concluding it. so that the 1st of January next year will mark the fact that the whole of the Western Balkans is part and parcel of the single euro payment area, meaning at least €500 million of cost saving for businesses and citizens every year. Not to mention the huge economic potential it might have for your investors' climate. The second one, which we discussed also in Tirana, which is advancing well, that is the green lanes. We see that the 11 border crossing points have been identified. We're allocating the funds to build these border crossings so that we can, from next year, see a completely different reality. Because only by this we can reduce, on average, at least 3 hours of waiting time for every truck. This means a saving of at least 2 percentage points of the costs of all your exports and imports. It's a huge cost. Then, of course, we are also making progress on the digital part of our agenda, the Wi-Fi for the Western Balkans, something that we are rolling out gradually everywhere. But dear friends, of course, there are other areas, new areas that is emerging now from the region. To me, this confirms the ownership of the region of the growth plan. And in that, President Vučić already mentioned the agreements on conformity assessment and acceptance. Basically, this is the tool through which it's not only going to be access to the markets custom-free, which we have under the association agreements anyhow, but it means immediate access to the single market without any further conditions. This means that, for example, in Kotor, I understand that they are producing car parts. Those car parts will enter the European market as European products. Most of these companies are European companies anyhow, so it shouldn't be such a tremendously big task to apply the same rules here that they apply back home. And this will also mean that new sectors of the industries will be looking at you for potential investments. This means growth and jobs directly. No matter how administrative the wording looks, in effect, this is what it will do. The other element that was mentioned was the Critical Medicines Alliance. We were very happy to see the inauguration, although not all of you are part of it. I guess it would be more than necessary for all of you to be part of it. We have seen already one pandemic, and we cannot exclude another one. So if you want to ensure the continuous supply of critical medicines, this alliance is a must-have. And this alliance will also link you up with the European medicine markets, which will provide you the security of supply for long term. Then we're also working on another one, the digital identity wallet. Again, this is something through which you can access much easier markets, for example, electronic public procurement markets in the European Union, or you can use it also in financial transactions that will cut your costs back even further. But all this is very nice as you benefit from the EU markets, but it will not make you attractive enough if you do it alone. It will make you only attractive if you do it also within the region. Meaning, if the cost of sending money between, for example, Belgrade and Tirana is going to be the same as sending money between Berlin and Paris. It will only give you the boost of economic convergence and real integration if you also integrate yourselves within the Balkans. This is why it is as equally important to work on the common regional markets as it is for the early integration into the EU markets. Therefore, it's high time to get over all the, how should I put it, well-established and traditional disagreements, for example, related to the CEFTA, and make a move on, because the region is missing an opportunity. The region will not be able to benefit from all this if we continue with the old disagreements. I think that this frame offers pragmatic solutions also to overcome those difficulties. And as I said many, many times, but I don't want to refer to myself, is that this region on its own could add 1/3 of its GDP to it. It's in your hands to do it. So I think there is no better timing to do it than now. And finally, the good news is that the growth plan is not only alive and kicking, but I think that it will be quite remarkable that we can have the reform agendas agreed within a matter of days with you, something, for example, took much longer with our own member states, just to put a footnote to it. And if you look at the level of commitment that we see emerging from these reform agendas, I was told by our Director General that I should really take on my magnifying glasses, because we have not seen this with our own member states. So the level of commitment for reforms is a testament to the commitment of the region. And this is something I think our member states will also appreciate when they look at it, because they will look at it. So it means that within weeks, these plans are going to be already implemented. It also means that if this goes well, then we can have the first payments still before the summer break. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your invaluable address, Mr. Varhelyi. I think it's great to have such an optimistic message from European Commission. And now we have Assistant Secretary of State for European Eurasian Affairs of the United States. Please, Mr. James O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It's great to be here. Why is an American here? Well, the U.S. has long seen that a Europe that's whole, free, and at peace is a core part of our interest. It's good for our economy, better for our people, strong for our security. And so seeing this region make progress in that way is a core American interest, and we will help however we can. I'm encouraged, and maybe I'll just make 4 points. I'm very encouraged to see here that we are talking about having a common regional market and access for countries to the single market of the entire EU. There's been a false debate for many years about whether one has to choose one or the other. But now, I think in this structure, we're moving forward on both. We talk about the common market as though it's simply a goal off in the future. But I look around the room and see that much of the community exists already, from the RCC to the NGOs who will hold us all to account if we fail, to the people who work every day on conforming presentations for the Commission, who talk to the Commission and learn and have a good discussion back and forth, the people who work on human capital in the region, able to develop plans and implement them, and then the international financial institutions that can make available the resources needed. It exists and it works all the time between these meetings. And so I think it's incredibly encouraging to see everyone here, that this isn't simply some top-down plan, but there's a real constituency and community that wants this to happen. So now just a few more quick points. The first is, what I particularly like about the growth plan is that it is measurable. The goal here is that people, goods, capital, and services move securely, more quickly, and cheaper than before. So if I can add a suggestion to Prime Minister Rama's suggestions, let's keep the measurements. Let's publicize them, and then let's show to our people. So Commissioner Varhelyi just emphasized a few key points, that there can be a €500 million in savings from the single European payment plan, that we can reduce truck waiting time by 3 hours each. Let's measure that, hold ourselves to account, and push that forward. Now, if we do these things, then I think we'll find that some of the political problems will get easier. This will not solve those issues, but it begins to address them. How is that? And I'm not one of these who believes magically that the more we trade, the less we fight. I think the last 120 years has taught us differently than that. But what I do think is true is that if in a country you're concerned that contraband is crossing your border, then let's put in place a system of scanning the cargo that comes in and out. Don't shut the border, just inspect what comes through. If there's a concern about the kinds of businesses that are crossing the border, how they declare whether they pay bribes, whether there's money laundering, then let's have a system of sharing tax assessments, sharing custom bases, and allow the systems to check how the goods are valued. And then we find that those problems go down as well. If you want more investment and are concerned about unfair subsidies, then let's join a single digital market and have a similar approach to estimating risk in our markets, and then we'll compete fairly across those. And suddenly, many of the issues that make it difficult to make progress at a political level will become easier to resolve because we will have practical solutions on a daily basis. That's the area America tends to become most involved, and I would much rather have that discussion in the context where there is shared data and a common basis for operating across the region and from the region into the European Union. And this brings me to my final point. The beauty of the growth plan is that for each participant, the message is simple. Do your own work. Don't ask someone else to do something first so that you can do the work. And I think for each of the leaders here, as important as other issues are, it is incumbent upon each of you, with help from us, to do the work so that your own citizens can benefit from the efficiencies and, frankly, the 4 freedoms that are embodied by this initiative. So I'm very encouraged that we continue to work at it, that the practical ideas are being implemented, and that they are expanding into areas that will touch your citizens' lives. And I think we all have to work to be sure that they see what those improvements are, that we talk about them regularly. And I hope we can have in the next meeting some reflection on the progress that we're already seeing for your citizens, and then we can continue to make that a practice. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jim. And before we continue with the member states and Mr. Trokaz as a representative of member states, as Mr. Varheli has a flight to catch, I would invite for a quick break, if that is okay with Monsieur Trokaz, so that we can take family photos, and then we can come back and continue with our discussions. Thank you very much.